So let's see. Generally, I start by telling some statistics. Currently, we are living in an agile world. So 90% of the data today is produced in the last 2 years. It's unbelievable. It's also, you can apply it to lines of code. Every day we are developing software, and with every 2 year time, the software in the world doubles. So from the software development perspective, it's good. They have jobs. What about the testing perspective? Because people generally ask me, okay, very new frameworks are coming up. People are now coding better. So universities are delivering good education. So we will have better software. So what will happen to the testers? And another statistic for it is defects per line of code remains the same for the last 10 years, which is good for us to have our jobs. So we are in the safe side. I don't know if you follow firms like Gartner or Standish Group. They know that IT industry is really problematic, so that they name the report as Chaos Report, and they announce it every year. It's about the challenges of IT projects, and you see more than 1/3 of the projects are cancelled, a lot of are delivered over budget and late, of course. So what we have in our hands, Agile. Currently we try to adapt ourselves to Agile. More than 80% of the software developing companies try to focus on transforming their traditional, or in other saying, sequential software development models to Agile. So try to keep themselves iterative, try to focus on minimum viable products and so on. Okay, but there are so many misconceptions about Agile. I saw those in the field when I deliver consultancy. So one is that the Agile is very new. Actually, it's not. So Agile, it goes back to 70s with Tom Gill. Maybe you know that guy. He is one of the most senior guys in our field. He wrote a book before I was born. By the way, I'm not so young. He is old. So he was talking about Agile in his, like he named it as Evo method. So like an evolution in software methodologies. And another misconception is Agile is better than waterfall. So it's a really big dilemma. If you have a small project, and if you have clear requirements, if they are very less, and if your users or business units or customers are very into the subject, so you may use waterfall. It doesn't kill you. So you don't have to use Agile all the time. It depends on the context. So waterfall is not a scary monster. So it is how life is constructed. So waterfall, like you were born, then you live and you die, something like that. It doesn't tell you bad things, by the way. Okay, and another misconception is people tend to say Agile, that is just equal to Scrum. So you will have 7, 8 people. We call them team. We name them with silly names like Jedis and Dark Side guys and so on. So you need to have 2-week releases. You don't need to write anything. You don't need to report anything. You don't need to track anything, because they are against the team collaboration. So you need to talk, give hand to hand, and then deliver the product. So okay, it happens in heaven. So in real life, this may not happen. So we give so many meanings with that word Agile. So you can do Agile, whatever methodology you have, you can still remain Agile with some practices. If you deploy them, then you can name yourself as Agile. But some defenders, they are very harsh. So let's see. Okay, no project managers, no deadlines. We don't report bugs. We talk to each other. So when I see a bug, I go to my developer and tell him this is a bug. And then when I go back to my chair, I forgot about it. So what was my bug? Where did I find it? So it's complicated. Let's talk about those. If you ask me agile testing, okay, now agile, we pass it over. Now when we come to agile testing, it's people are expecting like, okay, it's agile testing like rocket science. It is just testing. So what is different? The context is different. So the name agile means that you have frequency in your releases. You have maybe small teams, maybe small kind of requirements. By the way, when I say requirements, agile people tend to get angry. They say they are user stories. So it doesn't matter so much, yeah? It is requirement, so I require it. So you name it user story, I name it requirement. No matter. So don't get into words so much. Then when we, as testers, we have trained ourselves for years and years, and we have some common sense. It's developed right now. But what about the near future? So let me tell you. The common sense is we are bug detectors, yeah? So we explain in our trainings that, okay, you cannot prove that a system works 100%. It is nothing to be proven. You can only prove that a system fails. So that is the first motto of a tester. So if you are facing with a product, you will kill it. You will make it crash. So then you get happy. Everyone is angry. Okay. And we know it's like common sense. Testing should be done at the end. So it's just the end of the life cycle. We test it and, okay, pass it to production. This is not the case with Agile. So in Agile, we are more bug preventers. We need to prevent bugs. How can you do it? With static testing, with reviews, with peer reviews, by involving testers in the first days. So you may prevent bugs. And then you need to test throughout, from the first day till the last day. My very first question to CIOs, I generally face with them when we start a project and finish a project. They come to the meeting and I'm asking this tricky question. I say, who is responsible for quality in your organization? Generally, they drop to the trap. They say, testers. We are paying good salaries to the testers, so we have many testers. They are responsible for quality. And what about the rest, I'm asking? The rest is responsible for creating horse shit. So, which is not good. So you need to distribute responsibility, quality responsibility. It's very heavy for a test team to handle. And other than that, until now, until Agile, testers are, we ask them to rely on some specifications. We call them requirements, system requirements, use cases, UML diagrams, workflows, etc. Some documents that are prepared by some other people. We call them business analysts. So I need to rely on that. And after that, people are expecting me to find bugs, which also relies on the specification. Am I right? So if you feel that, okay, I catch bugs, you need to also check that if your analysis documents are having high quality. So if they are not good enough, your test will not be good enough in traditional way. But in Agile, we try testers, we push them into defining acceptance criteria. So you need to work with product owners, you need to speak with developers, you need to go and ask your users. So, and define acceptance criteria. If you define it yourself, then it's yours. So then you are more into the development life cycle. So that's why Agile is somehow a good thing. And also checking in traditional ways. Just imagine, I give you some test cases and you run them. But I give you what to run. So Does it affect, for example, you do the test or you do the test? Any difference? If I have given you the specifications and test cases, it doesn't matter, yeah? So, but we want it to be on the field. So we want to explore things. We want you to use your brain. If you are following a test script, you don't use your brain. It's like happening on the spinal cord. It is autonomous system. It's like checking. It's not testing. In Agile, we encourage people to do exploration. And exploration needs brain activity, yeah? So if you use your brain, then your testing becomes more efficient, so on and so forth. Until now, we say tester skills are important. You need to know the domain, you need to know the business and so on. But now we are expecting coding skills as well, technical skills as well. So a lot of companies are investing in this area. And Agile has challenges. And the very first one is to focus on your users. Even you are a tester, you need to focus on users. This is a very famous saying. Henry Ford, I don't know if he told it or not, by the way. Some people say that he didn't told it. Okay. Like if I ask people what they wanted, they would ask faster horses. But I'm very clever, so I bring a car. How genius I am. So from this perspective, it is humiliating the users. But from another perspective, if your users say that they need faster horses, it means a car. A car is a faster horse. Am I right? So they tell you what to do. I think that is not so genius. So at least you need to listen to your users. They will tell you what you need to do. And also, maybe you heard about Pareto. It's a rule that is trained in universities, like 80 to 20 rule. You need to know that 80% of your users are using only 20% of the product. But we want to make our products full of features, yeah? Put this one, also this one, add this one, but okay, in the end, they will never be used. So why you are pushing all those? A question. And another question is, when we are developing a product, we want to make everyone happy, which doesn't happen at all. So like, okay, this is a new product, so everyone from 7 till 77 should be loving it. So it should be a fan of the product, which never happens. So some people will get frustrated, yeah? Will be angry, will be sad, will cry, I don't know. You need to focus on maybe half of the crowd. Half of the crowd, if they are using the product effectively, if it's easy to use for them, you are on the safe side. The others, if you build a product that is easy to learn, you will get them on the other side. But it will take time. Quality takes time, yeah? And we call it baby duck syndrome. Maybe you know it. It's a psychological study. I think all you are facing with this. You have a legacy system, an old one, and you update it. And the very first feedback from users are crying, yeah? Oh my God, you blow it away, now we are very angry, this is not good. Okay, the old system was mainframe with a black-white screen. The new is an open architecture. It's a web-based system that is very simplistic and perfect, but okay, people generally tend to stick on the first design that they are used to. So they complain about it in the first days. They don't hate change, actually. What they hate is a product that doesn't make their life easy. So you need to be careful about it. And we as people, we are sharing, yeah? Good thoughts to 5 people, around 5 people, bad things to 20 people. So in my country, there is a saying like, bad news comes first, something like this, because it's logical. So if you do something good, it's good. If you do something bad, it's very bad. So you need to be careful about it. And you know that these guys are emotional. I cannot tell a developer what an emotion is. So it's very hard to tell it to a developer because I know myself. Something like when I go to my developer and tell him, okay, I found a bug. Do you know what it is? Yes, tell me. It is when the user opens up the screen, he got frustrated. He couldn't decide what to do. He says, I can't understand you. I push the button and it's working. So, like the brain is on Boolean side, yeah, 1 and 0. So, if it is functioning, it's perfect. But if they get bored, so what can I do? They need to learn it. It's hard to tell to a developer a usability bug. It's hard to make it accepted. Okay, people are emotional. And what about some tips? This is the very first slide that I teach in any class. I'm an ISTQB trainer. So we tell people that, okay, in order to have a good environment for testers, you need to speak the common language first. Then you deploy your processes, then you will have your organization, you will give people titles and responsibilities, and you teach them how to do it with some techniques, and finally you will have your tools. But in the real life, generally a company, the first thing that they do is to purchase a tool, yeah? So they do the pyramid from upside down. Something like first they get the tool, then they ask me, Baris, we don't have a process like this, but we need it very urgently. And I tell them, okay, let's establish a process. He tells me, but it is not applicable to our tool. Then it's why it is your tool then. So tool is not the main purpose of the thing, yeah? It needs to serve you. You don't need to serve your tools. So this is another perspective. And the thing that David showed is the Maslow's hierarchy, yeah? When I was in a conference moderating a speech, like next to me, a guy from a bank, an upper manager, another guy from insurance, and another guy from e-commerce. And I asked them, okay, I have only 4 tests in my hand. One is functionality, the other one is usability, the other one is performance, and the other one is reliability or security. Which one do you choose if you are on an island, something like that? You need to choose only one. And the bank guy is a very serious guy. He told me, okay, we need to be secure. I will pick that. The insurance guy, he said, okay, we are creating insurances, thousands of them in a moment, so we need to have the high performance. So I will pick performance. What about the e-commerce? He told me, we need to be usable, so I will pick that. And only thing that I have left with is functionality. And I asked those guys, so you have a very usable system, but it doesn't work. Your system is very fast, but it doesn't work. Your system is very secure, but you cannot send money. So you cannot escape functionality, yeah? You cannot escape from it. So it is the bottom line of each and every story, but you need to go up, of course, maybe till some point. And also, this is another psychological study done by Philip. He says, in the world, there are 5 orders of ignorance. The 0 order is actually not an ignorance at all. I know something and I know it. So if you know something, and if you know that you know that, you have 0 order ignorance. It means that you are not ignorant. So this is like positive testing, yeah? Just sending money, just creating the bill, just doing the login and so on. What about the next level? I don't know something, but I'm aware of it. It's a good ignorance. So you don't know something and you know that you don't know it. It's a little bit complicated, but you are curious to learn it. You have a question in your mind. It's negative testing. So we encourage testers to build negative test scenarios because developers are really optimistic people. You tell him, okay, I want to send money, but it should be available from 9 till 6 p.m. Okay. But what about before 9? We have 24 hours in a day. He just built that part, but what about the rest? It's a blank story. So because he's a very positive guy, you need to do negative tests to catch bugs. Then after first layer, first order, comes, I don't know that I don't know something, which is a little bit dangerous. So you don't know something, but you are not aware of it. It's not a good thing. So you need to do exploration in order to fix this. And okay, then comes monkey testing. It's a kind of inexperienced testing, yeah? You grab someone from the street. Okay, I have a banking application. Look, I'm a butcher. Okay, it doesn't matter. Check. And he is like a monkey, but finding bugs, yeah? So it's proven. You need to search it from Google. We don't teach it in the ISTQB syllabi. It's not there, by the way. Hopefully it will come. It's important. Inexperienced people also find bugs, which is important. And then if you are on the 4th layer, you need to take a rest. Yeah? Maybe you will not do testing at all. So let's forget about that layer. This is from De Bono. Maybe you know the guy, a project management guru. He says, in every activity you do, you need to change hats. He called it 6 thinking hats. And while you are doing testing, in some moment you are very positive, in some moment you are negative. In some moment you need to be intuitive, by the way. I don't like this. You can tell it to your developer. Okay, he will refuse you surely, but you need to try. So you need to go through all the phases. And this is another story, the subjectivity of any test suite. So if people are doing tests, it needs to be subjective. Am I right? So because you are very positive, I'm very negative, pessimistic. So if we test a product, the same product, maybe I will tell that it's bullshit. You will tell that it's beyond the imagination. So test is like this. If a human is doing the testing, it is somehow subjective. So if you are in love with your developer, for example, you may not find any bugs, especially if the developer is a lady. In my country, it's like this. So ladies, yeah, okay, exceptions. And also, the vice versa. If you hate someone, you become very harsh with your tests. Oh, I don't like this guy. They should fire him. So I will find many bugs. So let me create very complex test cases. So at the end, you need to ask yourselves, before reporting your bugs, you need to ask yourselves, am I very harsh or am I very soft? So you need to be in between. You need to keep the balance. So you need to have some simple scenarios, also some harsh scenarios. You need to synchronize it. You need to have the harmony. So this is very important. Okay, Devops is very important. So these guys are having a conference on it. Devops reaches to production systems, yeah? In Agile, okay, we have the code, we build it, and then we do some integration. If it is more and more, we call it continuous integration. If it reaches, if it happens after the release, we call it continuous delivery. If it's after the deployment, we call it deployment. And if it reaches to operations, we call it DevOps. So you need to test. By the way, continuous integration means testing at all. Just is something like a test activity. People tend to think about that continuous integration is a development activity, but it's more a testing activity. You do more tests than coding with continuous integration. And of course, if you are doing Agile, you are prepared for shorter SDLCs, yeah? Shorter life cycles. It means more releases. It means more bugs, of course. You need to do regression tests. And this is another dilemma, yeah? Regression test, because in our object-oriented programming lessons, teachers, the professors, they told us, okay, this is system A, and this is B. They need to be modular. So they need to not to rely on each other. They need to stand like this, and if this one needs something from this, ask, and get your response, and go on. This is how you should build a code. But in real life, we call it spaghetti code, yeah? It's like this. unfortunately, after all those lessons, we don't use anything. We forgot all these, and we develop our spaghetti code. So when I change something, some other thing spoils. So I need to learn it. How can I learn it? To run a regression test. To run a full regression test, in my dreams, of course. Again, it only can happen in heaven with infinite resources and time. But in real life, you have, all these are limited. So you need to be careful about running your regression tests, automating them, and so on. And one other important question, maybe Roland, you remember it from Romania. The guys, they ask us, you do Agile. Agile is the new era. So should I distribute the testing responsibility to the team, or should I dedicate testers? It was the question. Maybe you remember, or?
Yeah, it's long ago, but yeah, I remember.
Okay.
And I also remember your answer. So.
My answer was, of course, perfect. So my answer was like this. I told them that, for example, in Scrum, they generally tend to tell that, okay, testing is not a role. It is a capability, they tell you. So this capability can be on everyone. So it should be distributed among the members. So we don't have any segregation of duties. We just have team members, and they are capable of doing everything. A superhero team, yeah? But when it comes to testing, it doesn't happen that way. Such heroic teams generally constructed with developers, because someone doing everything can be developer, because generally testers doesn't code, yeah? So this guy should be a developer, but developers, when it comes to testing, they are not so harsh. Am I right? It's like complimenting your own daughter, for example. Every morning, you tell her, you are the most beautiful creature in the world, but in real life, it is not the case. But you cannot tell her that, okay, your ears are not symmetric, and your one eye is smaller, so, but you are my child, I love you. This happens with unit testing. I cannot imagine a developer, myself also, constructing the code and tell that, okay, now it's time to crash this code. It never happens. So because this never happens, when it comes to distributed teams, testing is second or third priority, and the products are facing quality issues. So you can dedicate your testers. Of course, a thinking from me, but test it and verify it, so you can trust me. And report the bugs. When I tell people doing Agile, report the bugs, guys, they told me, no. Why? Because it's against the team collaboration. We love each other very much. We don't want to spoil this emotion. So it's not a criticism, it's not a personal criticism, yeah, to report a bug. I report a bug in order not to forget it. It's nothing for firing you out, yeah? So it's just for myself to remember what I have found. That's it. So if you are working in an 8 to 10 people team, you can convince your developers to report them. By the way, developers are, as I've said, they are on the dark side. So they generally tell you things like, okay, don't report it. I know it. It will come with a new release. So no problem. You are my friend, guy. So don't do it. Yes.
It's not a bug. It's an undocumented feature.
Yes. This is what happens. So, by the way, if you give people permission to report a bug, it is also a permission not to report it. Am I right? It has different sides. Yeah? You tell them, okay, you may report the bugs. You may. If you don't want to, then don't. So I don't force you to report it. If you are smooth with your Agile environment, go on. If not, report them. It's not the end of the world. So, okay, dedicated. And automation. Another different story. People, it is like sending a rocket to space, yeah? People answering this question like, do you do automation? Yes. And what is the return? I don't know. But we do it because everyone is doing it. So we do it, of course, because we are a very big company, very big enterprise. But you need to be sure that generally test automation, it is not done for bug detection. So it is done for confidence building. You need to tell people that, okay, this works. It is done for that, not bug detection. If you do it for bug detection, we will talk about it later, after the break, but it is, at first you need to ask yourselves the purpose of automation and the frequency of your test run. If you run a test case for one time, do it manually, yeah? Don't waste your time with automation. If you run it regularly, come here. And if your product is not so mature, don't do automation, because with every update of the code, you need to update your test cases. Okay, we have some frameworks like keyword-driven, data-driven, in order to isolate data from test scripts to make them more maintainable, but this is the case in the world. So, and I remember a meeting, the guys, they asked me, Baris, we want to automate our user acceptance tests. I told them, are your users aware of it? No. So a machine will come and accept the product. Am I right? Why not? Because machines are smarter than us. Yeah? Unfortunately, no. Not right now. So people are like this. This is automation. It needs to find me defects more than me. But it is developed by you. So it's not coming from God. So somewhere, I don't know. You need to be careful about it. And automation is not a testing activity, by the way. Test automation is a development activity. People like playing with toys. So we do record and playback. It is like doing it like in a kindergarten. So you need to hand code. You need to code it. You need to code your scripts. It's a development activity. You need to know it. I don't have so much time. I'm speeding up. So when we come to automation, agile, we say, okay, look, these are the layers. Automation happens on the lower levels because in order to have higher code coverage, but we know that with that layer, we will have low business coverage. So what we do, we need to do some testing on the UI level in order to have end-to-end, see the end-to-end process. You can take the picture of it. Also, we are teaching it in agile testing sessions. So you need to design good test cases. This is another stuff. Sorry. I'm sorry, Roland. You also want to take the picture? Okay, I will give it to you. Tonight. Okay. And these are dynamic and static testing. So we don't have so much time. Our time is limited. So we need to construct smarter test cases, yeah? So in some teams, they are like, we will give an award to a tester who writes most test cases. It's crazy. So if you have thousands of test cases, so you are in a problem, yeah? You need to run them. So it's not good to have many test cases. It's good to have test cases that are detecting bugs. So this should be the award you should give. Performance testing, he told about it, but my very only sentence is, if you do firefighting, what I experience in the field is that generally companies doesn't pay attention to performance testing. Functional, then go to production, then it crash. And a CIO writing an email, hey guys, haven't you done any performance testing? Okay, let's call Baris from Quito. So come and very fastly run a performance test. It is firefighting, yeah? So with this methodology, I assure you to have 100% of your bugs on the operational environment. You see them there, but you need to be performance driven. You need to split this to different testing levels and so on. And this is another subject. Especially companies, when they come to you, this is our tool. It sometimes go to space, come back again. It's like heaven. So with many features, but you only need this portion. But why do you pay for this? So you just need this. So I really encourage you to have a look at open source also things, open source tools. You need to focus on them as well. Last 2 slides, 1 minute, yes. This is another mistake. If you measure people, then they become mutants. Something like they become... Remember the story of Anakin Skywalker, yeah? He was a good guy from childhood. He grows up, and then some other society, they grab his mother and escape. Then he found them. He found them. Then he killed the whole territory. So kill everyone, including... So he's like one step to dark side. Then he becomes Darth Vader. Things happen like this. You take the first step, and then you become Darth Vader. So it is, if you measure people so much, then they falsify the data, yeah? So how many defects you found? These are the test cases you run, but we found a live defect. So you didn't run it perfectly. Something like that. If you do it like that, people will falsify the data. So don't measure people. Instead, you need to measure the process. Maybe the whole team, not focusing on people. And finally, last words. In some testing books, it's written that quality flows from top. So you need to have a visionary CIO to have some funding, testing funding, but generally you don't have such CIOs, yeah? I have never seen such a CIO in my life, very focusing on testing. Testing is a very important discipline, we need to invest it. It's never happened. Generally they say, can we lower the efforts of testing? Yes, you can drop it at all. And you will pray instead. It can also solve problems if you are a good prayer. So quality, this funding, it is also coming from bottom to up. You need to trigger the nerves. You need to show people that you are not underachieving. You are doing good testing. You need to have those budgets. What are your pains? You need to quantify the pains. Generally people like, okay, we are having so much pain with our test. What happened to you? Tell me. We have pains. Tell me some numbers. What do you mean by pain? You need to tell them that this amount of efforts are consumed. This is what we lose in each and every release and so on. You need to quantify your problems. You need to quantify everything, by the way. I'm a metrics guy, so small kids, they say, I love you, and you need to ask, how much? It's also happening in life. You need to measure it. So you need to tell it. How big is it? So this is... I need to upgrade it to 100. You need to do some things, yeah, of course. I know that I'm missing something if it's 80%. Sky is the limit, so maybe we can move more. This is all from me. Hope that you enjoyed my session. Thank you very much.
Any questions? No?
Hopefully you don't have, because I am a little bit tired, but why not?